Yeah. What is up? It is the 12 Rounds podcast. And before we introduce our next guest, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's been tuning in, been giving us support. Much love to all you all. I see everybody listening out in New York and Canada and California and Utah, giving us hella love, man. So I just want to say thank you for that. We appreciate you here at the 12 Rounds podcast. But today in the studio, 12 Rounds podcast, we got none other than Funky Fresh in the Flesh Cadillac Matt.
A.K.A.
Oly Ghost.
A.K.A. Oly Ghost. Yeah.
Well, to me, I like to say Oly Fantasma. And I almost said Cadillac Fantasma at first. It almost got my brain went, recalculate, escape, delete.
Right? It sounds like a fancy car lot.
But because I know you, I've known you since the Oly Ghost days, man. And I don't know, do people still hit you up like, hey, what's up, dude? You still rap?
It never leaves. It never stops.
Still doing.
People still to this day, hey man, you ever thought about getting back into it?
Same, dude.
All the time. It was a great run. I love doing it. Made it way farther than I ever thought, or people probably ever thought I ever would. Just phased out of my life. I just got to the point where it was just getting, it got to me so much that I honestly, we'll just jump right into it. So I basically one day I was on the road with Chris Calico and had an anxiety attack in a hotel.
Oh, damn.
It was something I've never experienced. I don't think anybody ever. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Yeah, because it's almost like a heart attack, right?
Yeah. And it was just everything coming together. Life, being on the road, lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, lack of health, mental health, music industry. I just feel like I should just lay it all out. You know what I mean? I think for a lot of years, people always thought certain things like, oh, Oly Ghost, won't put me on, or Oly Ghost won't do this, and Oly did this, and he's doing that, and so I can't do this. And there was always been, like, it's either you hate it or love it. You know what I mean? The Oly Ghost brand, it got way bigger than I ever thought it would. With logos and tour vans and being on tour and headlining tours and doing things that I saw as a kid that, like, people like Mad Row and groups that came from Boise that you never would have thought. I mean, they were on the Vans Warped Tour and like Street Empire and all these other guys. I mean, they were just coming up in the game, and to me, it was always something that I always dreamed of, but it was always way out of the grasp. Yeah. And as it got closer and closer, without you realizing it, it almost slaps you right in the face, and then you have to take it on. And I was taking it on, and I was going for it. I didn't even work. I mean, I did music full time. Yeah. Selling songs on the internet, touring, merchandise, branding, networking. I mean, all of it. Yeah. Anything and everything I could possibly do to get on. And to kind of sum things up, I was on the road and I had an anxiety attack, and my tour van actually broke down. Transmission blew up. And I was sitting in a hotel, and I'll never forget it. And it's like in Burns, Oregon. I don't know if you've ever been to Burns, Oregon, but there's about three, maybe two stoplights, a movie theater, and a hotel. Yeah, it's like it's got like a Maverick there. People were waving at me and stuff on my tour van. They thought I was like Kid Rock or something. You know what I mean? They couldn't figure it out. Cops were coming up, and I mean, people were stopping.
Who are you?
So anyway, I'll just get to the point. But I'm looking around, and there's stuffed animals and stuff all over the walls, and this weird music's playing and stuff. And I'm just sitting there thinking in my head, I'm like, man, I gotta do something about this. Yeah. My wife came out and got me in Burns, Oregon, about 6 hours away. Left the tour van there, came back. Went out the next day with my uncle, paid $800 to go get my tour van out of Burns, Oregon. Yeah. Brought it back to Boise. I get back, and no lie, this is just straight up. My car gets repoed.
Oh damn.
I'm out my $800. Tour van's blowing up. Car's gone. I go over to my dad's house and I say, "Hey, I need to get some money for rent or something here. I'm about ready to lose everything."
Yeah.
Tour van just blew up in Burns, Oregon. That's I'm at this point. Boom, another anxiety attack.
Yeah.
I go rushing to St. Alphonsus Hospital. And I mean, I'm pushing people out of the way and everything. I'm freaking out. There's this lady at the front desk, and she's filling out the paperwork for this lady. And I go, ma'am, excuse me. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. Lady says, "Go sit in the wheelchair. Someone will be out with you immediately."
Yeah.
They wheel me back there. My legs are shaking. I'm flopping, doing all kinds of weird stuff. Freaked me out. I felt like at that time that the vision that came into my head was family. I needed to be there for my kids. I needed to be there for my wife. I needed to be there mentally because literally felt like I was losing everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. So I just feel like everybody should know the story. Right. You know what I mean?
Like whatever happened.
Yeah,
yeah. He just fell off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's cool. I'm not tripping off of none of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I never felt like I was really ever on. You know what I mean? But doing the things that everybody was wanting to do. I mean, opening for Tech 9. I mean, everybody would fight for that spot every year. And then you'd get the spot and everybody would be like, screw that guy. Oh, I can't believe they're giving it to him, and blah, 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 blah. And it's not like I picked it. They picked me. You know what I mean? And you couldn't buy your way onto that. You couldn't, do that. So these opportunities were coming to me, and then I would get the grief for it. So back it up. I have the panic attack, anxiety attack. It was nuts.
Right.
Go to my dad's house. Dad, I need some money. Sitting outside, I look up, and there's a barber college.
Oh wow!
Right in the same area where my dad lives.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was really weird. My grandpa was a barber for 55 years.
Yeah, I remember. You have some old stuff from his shop at your shop now, right?
Yes, sir. So anyway, to kind of sum it all up, I didn't have anything. I spent all my money to get out to on the tour with Chris Calico. I spent all my money to get my tour van, blowing up, gone, car's gone, repoed, this, that, rent's due tomorrow. I honestly went into barber college and that's where everything changed.
That's crazy, dude.
The
thing is too is like a lot of people don't understand how much work that actually goes into being in that place in the music business, like being able to go tour, that's hella stressful, dude. And I talk about that sometimes too, where like I would rock a show and I would just go straight to the hotel to go to sleep, man, because it's like a job, dude. It's like a 24-hour job. Yeah. And even though you're not doing a 9 to 5, you're doing like a 24/7. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And the craziest part about it is you count your money before you even make it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't make the money, then you don't even have. And every dime that you'd get would go back into music. If that, because I was that serious about it. And not everybody was that serious. There's a lot of talented artists out there, that never get their shine, and that were way better than I ever. And I'll admit that. You know what I mean?
You invest in yourself, dude. I remember when you got your van and
And a crazy story about that was I was working at this little pizza shack, and just kind of helping out on the side. My buddy had owned it. I went to high school with and stuff. And I said, hey, I just need a little side gig, to do some things to make a couple extra bucks while I'm off the road and touring and stuff,
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, dude? I'm out of here. I'm not doing this pizza thing no more. I'm going to get a tour van and I'm going to put my face on the side of it. Bro, they horse laughed at me. They were like, yeah, we'll see. No way in holy hell you'll ever do that. No way it'll ever happen. Bro, when I pulled up in front of that pizza shack with my tour van and my face on the side of it, it was a cool moment in life.
See me?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Told you.
Yeah. And one of the crazy cool things before I forget about the tour van is when I did that, I actually cold called all the people to sponsor that tour van. And so I made a speech and made a thing just like a call center would, and I went into my studio and I typed in, I'm going to put you guys on some game here. So I typed in local tattoo companies, local clothing companies, local barbershops. Shout out to Hookup. They were the first ones that ever sponsored me when I was doing my thing. So I would call these guys, and my wife goes, "There's no way that these people are going to pay to put their logo on the van with your face on it. There's no way. Why would they do that?" I said, "Wife, give me a minute." I went out 8.5 hours out in my studio and called all these people, got 16 sponsors from all over Idaho to sponsor my van. They sent me checks in the mail. I went down and got my van wrapped, and it's giving me goosebumps talking about it. But it was one of the coolest moments because it was something that people told me I could never do.
Mm.
And that's always been something with me that I feel like people have to respect, is the fact that I do put in the work.
And the one thing that I respect about you too, man, is your willingness to adapt and change. You know what I'm saying? When I first met you, you were part of a group called 33 Deep.
Yes, sir.
And you guys were doing your thing, and then you kind of separated from them too. And Navarro was also a part of the group with you guys.
Yes, sir.
And you two kind of like went off and did your own thing, and honestly, I think, like, no disrespect to 33 Deep, but I think you guys, you know, grew bigger than that, you know, than what you were supposed to be in 33 Deep. Like, you knew you were something, you know, on your own too, as Oly Ghost, and you believed in yourself as a separate entity. You know what I'm saying? From 33 Deep.
Yeah, and
Navarro.
I'll touch base on that. So, 33 Deep to me was like the Idaho Bone Thugs.
Yeah.
We were all talented, but we could never get our shit together. and I mean that in the most humble way.
Well, you remember what I used to say, right? I'm like, man, you guys need to quit all that. I think I was telling Swift the most, but like the whole with the gang thing on stage and stuff like that.
Yeah. So in 33 Deep, how it was there was the president, the vice president, the this, the that, the this, and that's how they did it, right?
Yeah.
And 100% honestly on everything I own, like I was never into the gang culture thing. I never did that. I didn't claim blue, red, none of that stuff. It was about green for me, making money and doing music. So get back into what we're doing. It was always a thing with that group. I remember at sometimes, bro, we would sell 175 tickets for concerts. We sold 250 tickets to 50 Cent Young Buck, or what they said 50 Cent was coming. He never did, obviously. But Young Buck, I remember literally selling piles and piles of tickets with those guys. There was no promoter in this town that would not put 33 Deep on a concert because we would sell and promote and market so much. The cops would throw us against the walls and search our backpacks and do all this shit because they thought we were selling drugs because we sold so much CDs and branded our shit so much. And I feel like a lot of credit for that because I was out there pushing that brand. But at the end of the day, I wanted to put everybody on. But to put everybody on and get them on the same page was the hardest thing ever. We had singers, we had rappers, we had speed rhyme. You know, I mean, we had the whole, like I said, it was like a Bone Thugs and Harmony, and it was like an AA group at the same time because everybody would always argue and fight and bicker in between each other, and it was never. And then when we get on stage, just gone. It was on. You know, it would put on a show, pack it out. People loved it, but it was always that thing as like nobody could. It was like, what's that old saying? Too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everybody was in there putting in work, but there was people that were putting in a little bit more work than others. But then that other person would come in and they would do some work on this end, and they would do some work on this end. So all the pieces would always fit together, but it would never. It was always a thing. Like I'd say, okay, I'd go to these promoters and I say, hey, I want to put us on, and I'd get the group on. Well, then we want to get paid. Okay, well, how do you get paid? Now we got to split it up between everybody. Okay, well, how much do you get? You didn't do no work. You didn't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was like a reality TV show, and with a rap group. You know what I mean? It really was because there was so much stuff going on internally too. Yeah. And then to get everybody together. You know, like Young Bowen, he started coming in there. You know, rest in peace. It was just like a never-ending puzzle that was always trying to be put together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you guys were a pretty versatile group of guys, man. Like even personality-wise, like you had like what was his name? The dude that was real quiet all the time.
Young Burner?
Yeah, no, not Young Burner. The other dude.
Awu,
Awu.
Yeah, the vice president.
Yeah, so like just him as a person, like he was just like a real quiet type of dude, even when he would rap. Remember, I think I can't remember the song that we first recorded in the dungeon when we finally got like he was audible in the track where you could actually hear what he was rapping. Yeah, because he was always rap was so low. But Yeah.
But
guys,
that was his flavor.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like all those flavors made that bowl of sauce.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I can put it the best with that group. And it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. Shout out to all those guys. It was just something that was part of the come up, you know what I mean? Of the rise of the music scene. You know what I mean? It was just something that I think people will remember for a long time, being part of that local hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was a big part of your come up too, cause I remember you were the talker, the kind of the salesman of the group too. Cause you talked to me more than I think the first meeting I had with you guys when we first started like trying to do shows and stuff together was with just you, and I think I can't remember if it was with Navarro or if it was with Swift, but I remember
I think it was both of us.
I think and you were talking the most, like you were like the business mind of the whole thing,
right? Well, and I felt like I kind of took that on, and I hope that they never felt like a weird way about that. But I felt like if I can get as much opportunity for us to get on, then it's going to give everybody an opportunity. You know what I mean? In the end, did I feel that way? No, because I felt like I put in a lot of work and a lot of it wasn't recognized. But at the end of the day, they use that to better us as a group too. You know what I mean? To get us opportunities. And that's where a lot of the stuff went different too, is because, Connects Entertainment and a lot of these other brands that came out, they would approach me and they would see that too. And they'd say, hey, we want to put you on. And I say, well, I understand that, but at the same time, I want to put my group on. You know what I mean? I want to put everybody on. I wouldn't be on as much material or as much songs or as much content because there were so many people in the group, and they would, put certain people on certain things. And then I started getting a little bit, I'm not going to lie, I'm just putting it all out there, I started to kind of feel like it's like the guy that stays and works overtime but never gets paid for it. You know what I mean? So I'm putting in a lot of work. I'm doing a lot of things behind the scenes to try to get into those songs and to try to make my moves and try to get the areas I need to be with the group. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot harder to perform a 20-minute set when you only got 2 songs on the set, you know what I mean? But I'm backing everybody up. I'm pushing merch, selling tickets, doing everything I can, make sure everybody's on, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're getting on. Yeah. And I just feel like for this podcast, and this is probably one of the last interviews I'll ever do anyway. I just felt like everything should be put on the table. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that way everybody knows how it went. You know what I mean? And everybody knows everything. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like I should just come in the most natural, and as far as Oly Ghost goes, that's dead to me. You know what I mean? Cadillac Mat's barbershop, that's what I do now. I love to do what I do, and I feel honestly now I'm doing what I really love to do, and it's not even like work. You know what I mean? I'm getting paid to do what I love, and I really can't ask for any more. Yeah, you know what I mean? So the 33 Deep thing was cool, and like I said, shout out to everybody that was part of that.
Do you think in that role, like you play in that role in 33 Deep, do you think it helped you kind of hone in those skills to kind of set you up for your next adventure, like with your barber school?
Absolutely. It's the funny joke is it's a lot easier to sell a haircut than a CD, right? That's a rap crazy. CD in Idaho, right? More people support me cutting hair than they ever did doing music. More people contact me.
Well, you're an awesome barber, dude. So I think it's kind of crazy seeing you, go from one art form to the next seamlessly, dude. Like your transition from like how you said Oly Ghost to Cadillac Matt, and having your barbershop has been like a 360, but like not in a way that shocked anybody. Like when you opened your barbershop and like when I saw it, I was like, damn, dude, he's doing his thing. Like that's badass,
I respect that and I appreciate that.
And just like I said, dude, you've been like, you've made one of those moves, dude, that like you have to respect because you've adapted and you've gone with the change without, like instead of like people like giving it what do you call it? resistance or whatever, you know, like you've embraced it and freaking made what you've got now.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm comfortable with that. I honestly feel like I'm living my life now. I honestly feel better doing what I do now than I ever have before. The music industry to me was something that I pictured as a young kid. It was something that was like I wanted to be a star. I'm talking everything from going to America's Got Talent to traveling the country doing shows, sleeping in my van, selling CDs in the parking lots of truck stops, investing every damn dollar I have, and putting everything on the line, all the way to the point where, like I said, I had the anxiety attack and panic attack, because my body couldn't take anymore. It just really couldn't, and it's weird. It's it sounds weird. It sounds soft, or maybe sounds kind of funky.
No, dude, it's real, man.
But at the end of the day, I felt like it was the right thing to do.
Right.
As far as barbering goes, I never would have thought of it. Never in my life would I thought I would be a barber.
So you, like you said, you looked up, you saw the sign for barber college, right? And so I'm assuming that you knew that was the next move in your life. So I know it takes a good amount of time, out of your life to do it and to be, to get certified and do all the training and all that stuff. Was there ever a time in that time where you were doing, getting your license, doing all the training, and did you ever had doubts like, am I supposed to do this?
If it's from the start.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing was, and I'm going to be 100% with you. Like I said, this whole thing to me, I just want to put it out there. So when I started cutting hair, I went in honestly because I didn't have any money. I was changing my life around a little bit. I was doing a lot of stupid shit that I shouldn't have been doing. And honestly, I went there to get the money for the financial aid because that's how I was going to pay my rent for my house.
Oh no!
So I got my financial aid money, and I showed up to they call it the beginner class, intro. I looked right at the guy and I was like, I've never cut hair. Never cut hair in my life. Never picked up a pair of clippers. My cousin used to cut my hair as a kid. Here we go.
Yeah.
The first time I started doing it and the first time I realized, I'm like, oh man, this is something that I can be an entrepreneur with. Yeah. I can move and do the things that I like to do without having to stress about all the other stuff. The biggest thing with barbering is when I started on the floor, they call it, when you first start cutting hair, I fell in love with it like I did with music. And at that point I knew.
Because it allows you to be creative too, right?
Exactly. And the biggest thing with my music career was when I came into barbering, I didn't want to have any beefs or any weird tension or anything. I told myself, I said, listen, if I'm going to do this barbering thing, I'm going to network with everybody. I'm going to market with everybody. I'm going to do exactly like I do it. But I'm not going to bring any of the weird stuff. And that's one of the things that I didn't really like about the music industry. And it's affecting it now a lot. People are getting killed all the time in the music industry. And I felt like I could have been one, honestly. Flying off at the mouth, getting crazy, fighting all the time, doing stupid stuff inside of clubs. It just, to me, I didn't want to live that life anymore. I didn't want to have that burden of something on my back that I knew if I didn't make it or I didn't get that record deal that I would have failed for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that had to do a lot with the anxiety attack and the panic attacks and all that craziness and all that. But when I started doing barbering and I went onto the floor, I fell in love with it like I did the music industry. And I knew at that point that it was going to be something. When I started doing it and I started cutting hair, I went to my first shop and the guy, he goes, I don't know, man. I don't know about this. This could be tough. Shout out to him for just putting in some faith, teaching me some stuff, getting me going. And then from there, I just took off. I started printing my own shirts and doing everything that I did in music, but for barbering. And it was cool because people just they saw the transition of somebody coming from doing something they love to doing something else that they love, but very, very seamless. You know what I mean? when I got my barber shop, when I started cutting hair, and I went to I started in another shop, and then I opened my own barber shop down in Garden City. Everybody was like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you moving your what? You're going to put your barber shop in tweak, Weirdoville,
Yeah.
I go, yeah. And they go, what are you doing that for? And I said, because I feel like I want to make a change, and I want to open a shop that we can be for the community and help the community and be there for the kids and for people and everybody to come through, hang out, and be positive. Because the whole time I told myself when I started doing this barbering thing is it's going to be positive. Yeah. No negative, no shit talking, no people beefing with
except
anybody.
the barber talk.
Right. And that I love that part. That's one of the biggest things about the barbering thing is because now I can go in there and I can shoot the shit and I can have some fun and I can bring all my buddies together. So barbering honestly was a blessing because now I get to meet up with my friends, acquaintances, music people. Artists come from other states, Jelly Roll, Struggle Jennings. I cut their hair in the barbershop. I've been, to me, it's a way cooler experience to cut their hair and talk to them about life and learn something and soak up game from them rather than to be like, oh, whoa, how much is it to get on a song? Or how much is it to get you on a feature? What do I got to do this? What is that? And then they're just like, oh my gosh, what is this guy? You know what I mean? Because and so to me, that was just way cooler experience to be able to do something like that rather opposed to approaching them on a music level. You know what I mean? So now it's just a whole different ballgame.
It's a different dynamic between you and your I guess your coworker or like your peers or whatever, because in the music days, it was always almost like you needed to get something from somebody in order to have like a valid relationship, but with barber, like being a barber, you're on the same team. Like, look, you're helping me out and I'm making you look good, And I think that's why people do travel, man, to come and get, I know Joey Bravo and his family, they come from Twin Falls to get their haircut every time by you, and that says a lot, dude, because I mean, he doesn't have to travel, that. And he makes sure that he does. Cause for one, you give them exactly what they want. And two, you do provide that kind of environment, that positive environment, I mean, we shot a video there at your place too, right?
And that's there you go. And that's what I'm talking about. I was involved. I was helping out. I was doing what I love to do, and there was no bullshit. Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was
and no politics involved. And that's the biggest thing with
no stress.
It really was. And shout out to Joey. I've known that guy for years. And really, he's always just really had my back. I've had his back. We've always been business, and he's always supported me. So there's really not much I can say. I've slept on the guy's couch, doing music. Always had his doors open for me. So I only feel it's right that I take care of them and give them the best service that I can because they've always taken care of me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how I see life now. Really, I feel like the rest of my life now is what I want to do. Traveling a lot with my family, starting a beard oil company, printing out my own merchandise, selling products, being ambassadors for product lines, moving and, like I say back in the day, was moving and grooving like I like to, you know what I mean? And a lot of people say, do it for the passion or do it for this and do it for that. But there's nothing better than making great money and doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
And making others feel good. And if I want to, honestly, I can give free haircuts out all the time. Yeah. And I love doing it because there's nothing better than to make someone feel good about themselves and to go out and do better. You know what I mean? Because if it's something simple as a haircut, that I can take 30 minutes and sauce them up real quick and make them feel good, and they can go out there and do something good, then it's double win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So really, I mean, we can go on and on about that.
Not only do you cut hair, but you've also expanded your your skill set too into doing like pigmentation, right?
Yeah. Yes. SMP is called scalp micropigmentation.
Let's talk about that and kind of let people know what that is and what was all involved with you learning that.
So really at the end of the day, I've been cutting hair for 6 years. And I felt like it was a great service to add.
It's hand in hand, right?
Yes, it really is. And a lot of my clients were thinning out. They were going bald. They were doing this. They were doing that. And I just didn't want to, give them a handshake and say, thank you for being my client. You don't have any more hair to cut. Bye. That's just kind of like, wow.
It was nice knowing you for a while, dog.
And I'm not going to sit there and mess with them and cut their 3 hairs and charge them for it. I just can't do that. So it was a great addition to my services. Just starting out is very tough. It is very tough. It's just like barber school. You got to, you got to put in the work. You got to practice. You got to do everything you can. So, now I feel like barbering and then I feel like scalp micropigmentation is an additional service that I offer. But I'll always be barbering. I'll always be cutting hair. It's something that I love to do. Scalp micropigmentation is awesome. You can get certified or you don't have to be certified. But I mentioned, I would mention or strongly suggest to be certified. That way people take you serious and they know that you're serious about your business and they know that you're out there, investing in yourself to get out there. And basically what scalp micropigmentation is it's simulated hair follicles on your head and it's inserted with pigment. And basically you can do all kinds of different things with it. You can add density to hair. You can put hair, or you can put little micro dots on their head to simulate hair. You can do it on beards. You can do it for women. I just strongly suggest people just do their research. Yeah. I'm just barely starting out in it. I love it. It's great. It's awesome. I've had tons of support. But there's a lot of people that have out there that have been doing it a lot longer than I have. Yeah. But I felt like it was a great time to get on. Take the work seriously. And then it's pretty cool because it's done with almost like a single needle, like a pigment needle.
That's what I was going to ask next.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't go, it goes in between the dermis and epidermis. So, that might not make a lot of sense to people, but it's not
it won't cause any bleeding basically. Right?
It can a little bit, maybe a little irritation or a little bit of, it just depends on the scalp too. So there's a lot of stuff to it. Depends on the scalp type, depends on, if they have, a thin scalp, if they have, problems with their scalp,
are those things that you have to learn before you start doing it, or is that something you get taught?
Yeah. So you take a course and it's usually 4 days. And then they certify you. And then from there, you pretty much you're thrown to the wolves. So you have to, for real. I mean, you really are. And the instructors and stuff, you can call them or you can text them and they'll give you tips and things like that. But it's really getting clients, practicing on your skins, making sure that you're staying up on the latest stuff, searching different, procedures, different ways of doing scalp micropigmentation, following other people that do it to learn. I mean, there's a lot to it. And at the end of the day, it's like I'm just barely getting, I'm barely cracking open that egg to get the scalp micropigmentation because that's a huge industry. It's blowing up right now. Everybody's jumping onto it, but there's only going to be certain people in the end that are doing it. It's just like cutting hair. So when I went to barber college, graduated with 17 kids, 6 of them cut hair now.
Oh, dang.
All the other ones work somewhere else. They don't even cut hair. So it's one of those things you have to be serious. It's just like any other trade. People go to get certified to do HVAC or anything like that. You have to start somewhere. You know what I mean? You're not gonna go out and have people lined up to get their HVAC systems cleaned by you because you got certified. You know what I mean? So you have to go out there and you have to find the work. I've always been good at that. Don't get me wrong. So that's been something that a lot of people are like, oh, whoa. So I can kind of feel that a little bit, like people saying, certain things and this and that because I am getting into that industry and it's, but it's something that I am taking seriously and I am putting in the work and I am trying to, make sure that I'm going to be able to do it just as good as I would anything else. You know what I mean? So, basically to sum it all up, just do your research on scalp micropigmentation and it's a great hair loss alternative. It really is. It's something that can work for all hair types and it can work for men and women. It can work for your beard. and basically, like if you get hair follicle or like a hair transplant, you'll still need to get SMP because your scalp's not going to look as full with your hair transplant. You're going to have more hair, don't get me wrong, but it's still going to be thin. It's still going to be, you're still, and then when they take those hair transplants out, you have these little dots on you. Like they're almost like cystic acne, it looks like. And you have to fill that in because if not, you're going to have that scar, you know what I mean? That scar on your back, they usually pull it from the back or, from your neck or wherever. But anyway, scalp mic. Huh?
They put neck hair on your head?
They pull it from all over in the back of your back here. I mean, and they can go all the way up to your nape. I mean, they pull it.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, and then, scalp micropigmentation, anywhere from $2,500 for the procedure to $4,000 the procedure, as opposed to a hair transplant that's, $7,000 to $20,000. And then you get back and you're not
satisfied.
Yeah. And then you're back to square one again. So it's just an awesome service to provide. It's an awesome service to have. But like I said, very new, very, to me, and I'm just getting started. I've been doing it almost about a year. And loving it. It's cool. It's good. It's cool as an additional service. For sure.
To me, I can feel like how it could be cool too, man. To like, that's your job, but not only is that your job, like these people are walking away feeling more confident. Even with just a haircut, dude. I remember, freaking as kids, man, freaking going to get haircuts, even as we were kids, man. Like, oh, we could run faster, and like it was just like getting new kicks. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And that was one of the coolest things about the barbershop too is when I was doing music, a lot of people would look up to me. And a lot of people hated on me. And that's cool. And I totally understand that. But I would be at like the zoo or at like Edwards or something with my kids, and there would be other kids that would come up to me and say, "Oly Ghost, can I have your autograph?" And they would trip my wife out and my kids out and stuff, and even me, because I'm like, autograph, like what, So sign their autograph at the zoo. But being a barber and having kids look up to you, it's way more positive than to be like, oh, I'm going to influence you like this, being an artist, saying certain things or talking about certain stuff. But to be somebody that's almost like an older brother to them, and to influence them in a better way. I always influenced them in a good way in the music because they're kids, you know what I mean? And but the music and stuff that I was putting out wasn't something that I wanted my kids doing. Right. You know what I mean? I didn't want, but it was
something they should be hearing.
No, but honestly, and my raps weren't the best, and they weren't the this and that, but everything I always rapped about and it was real. And, some people, oh, no, it isn't, or no, it's this and that, and this is Idaho, and this is that. Trust me, I've seen some shit, and I've been through some stuff, at wherever you grow up. It don't matter where you grow up.
Yeah, there's a hood everywhere.
Yeah, and the coolest thing about the barbering is being able to be a positive spotlight on those kids, and to hook them up with a haircut, because most kids hate getting their haircut anyway. They freak out, start kicking, screaming, crying. But when they come in and you throw them up there and you give them a little zigzag or something on the side of their head, and there are some steps or something, and you tell them, all right, good luck out there getting a couple girlfriends or whatever, bro, there's no better feeling than to see a kid like that just stoked. You know what I mean? And honestly, most of the time I don't even charge them for the designs or anything. I really don't, because it's just a cool feeling to see that person, or the mom or somebody be like, oh, he's never acted like that. That's the best haircut he's ever got. This and this and that. And it's like, well, because of the environment you create and the way that you handle the situation, and motivate the kid into having fun, you know what I mean? And to being positive and to doing things like that. And that's one of the biggest things with this barbering thing is being able to change people's lives. And really, that goes off into the next segments of helping, you know what I mean, and doing things. I just felt like barbering is a big thing, a community thing, and I felt like barbering it was a dying art. And a lot of stuff, like when my grandpa was a barber, he always went to the VA and hooked up the veterans with haircuts, and he always went down and shot shot the shit, he called it, with all the other old men at the pubs and things like that, because that's where he would network. And this is before social media and Instagrams and all this
YouTube
shit, you know. Yeah. And to me, I always felt like that's what a barber was about.
Yeah.
A barber was about creating something that's helping the community.
That was the social network.
Yes. And so I thought to myself, I said, okay, now I got the haircutting thing. I'm doing my thing. I got the barbershop going. What can I do to help? Just help. Got together, got with my people, put together an event, cuts for Christmas. Went to the Boys and Girls Club. I said, listen, I want to give everybody at the Boys and Girls Club free haircuts. All the Boys and Girls Clubs in Boise. I got with Showcase Limousine. Showcase Limousine went over there and picked all the kids up.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
So you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So now I started involving other local community people to raise awareness, to tell these kids and to tell these companies, listen, there's people out there that need some help, and there's kids out there that might need a little bit of a shine or a little bit of light on them to brighten up their day.
Yeah.
So then I contacted National Guard. And I said, listen, we got kids out here you guys talk about you want to support and help and you want to recruit these kids and you want to do this and that. Come out. Boom. They were there in a minute. Boise State. Hit them up. And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I got these other big people to realize, like, hey, there's actually people out there in the community that do care and they do give a shit and they will go out and contact us and push us to do something about it.
Yeah.
So we got these kids. We went and picked them up at the Showcase Limousine. Dropped them off. Most of these kids never even seen a limousine, not even been in one, never even, you know what I mean?
Only on the movies.
Bro, that's like that. That was the first part of it. We haven't even got to the haircut yet. Get them to the shop. Now we got games going. We got the National Guard showed up with all this stuff for the kids.
Yeah. And at your shop too, you have a arcade.
Yeah, we have arcade. We had
like
a pool table. We had. It's that man cave feel. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where kids can come in and hang out. I tell kids all the time, listen, I don't care if you come in and get a haircut, whatever you want to do, just come in here and hang out if you have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Don't hang out at the streets. Don't run around. Don't do stupid shit. Don't get involved with drugs. Don't do this. If you need somewhere to come hang out with us and talk shit with us.
Come sweep the floor. I'll give you $2.
Whatever. You know what I mean? We'll go grab throw a munch or whatever you want to do. Right. Yeah. So anyway, back to the event. So we went and picked up these kids in the limo, brought them back, gave them footballs, gave them stuff from Boise State, gave them winter gloves, gave them school supplies, gave these kids gifts. Some of these kids didn't even open gifts on Christmas. That was the only gift they ever got for that year. Yeah. When I did that event, I turned around, bro, and Channel 7 News is standing in my lobby.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
I remember
that. I thought, whoa, what the heck? There's not any better publicity than being on the news. Yeah, everybody knows, but that's not what I was shooting for. I'm shooting to help out these kids,
right? And in the part of the town where people were telling you why you putting your barbershop up in the ghetto, you know.
There you go, and those are that's where I felt I could make the biggest impact. You know what I mean?
It's all changing there too, bro.
Yeah, and that area is the most booming area in Boise. They're
putting condos in
Casino Beach.
Yeah, all kinds.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Do your research on Casino Beach because it's going to be right down the street from the barbershop. But then again, that's a whole nother thing that we're going to get into. So, but at the end of the day, I did that. We did that. Okay, that was cuts for Christmas first time, bro. The amount of support I got from that, all my clients that come in, a lot of them own businesses and stuff. Yeah. They couldn't be a part of that fast enough. They said, how do we help? What do we do? What do we got to do? The Garden City Police came and said, how can we help? What do we do? What do we got to do to be a part of this? Because they never had somebody do something like that in their community. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So then Max Giving, boom, went right in. That was right after we did Cuts for Christmas. Mm-hmm. We went, back it up a little bit. We did Cuts for Christmas the first year. We come into the next year, Max Giving. Boom. I take everybody out. We start serving food to the homeless. I get network with the barbecue place right next door, and I tell them, hey, listen, let's cook all this food. We'll get all the food donated. We'll get it all put together. Let's go set up some tables. We'll donate. We'll just start serving everybody down at the skate park and down in downtown Boise. Yeah. Well, why do you want to do that? Why not? You know what I mean? Yeah. So then I got with Max Giving. Max Giving said, well, we already do that. And I said, all right, well, I want to be in. You know what I mean? I want to help. Yeah. I want to do that too. The amount of people that come back to the barbershop and just say, hey man, thank you for doing, some stuff that nobody would really do. They talk about it and they say, hey, I want to help, or they donate a check, or they say, hey, we're going to do a sale and we're going to get some money and we're going to donate it, and that's cool. We do that too. But at the end of the day, it's about the experience. And now it's out of control, bro. We do canned food drives. We do winter coats.
What was the one that you just did?
Coats for we just did coats for the community.
No, you did one called something cuts Mel.
Oh, cuts for Kells.
Yeah, cuts for Kells.
Okay, so and then that's another whole thing right there. So anyway, to top it all off, the biggest thing is I feel like I'm making a bigger impact right now, or in my life now, doing something positive than if I were to be out there trying to promote my music or push myself and my brand in a way that wasn't the way that I would want it to be. You see what I'm saying? Did I picture that 10 years ago doing this? No. Have I grown out to be the person that I have? Yes. Have I grown into a different person? Absolutely. But I feel like I've done it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't drink anymore. Don't party heavy anymore. Very, very, very business focused. Just very family oriented. My kids and my wife, everything
Number
to me.
one.
Yep. My oldest daughter, school teacher. You know what I mean? So, that impacts the whole world. You know what I mean? And what else could I ask for my kid than to be out there to do more positive stuff?
Yeah, following by example.
My youngest daughter is trying to take on like I was, music and acting and trying to do this and taking off like crazy, doing her thing, children's theater, stuff like that. And I told her, I said, listen, slow down. I did this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's also awesome because I can be there for her. And
like a mentor.
Yes. And I can tell her, all right, this is good, or this is bad, or this is this and this is that, because then there's all those other influences with that going in on my kids now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to top it all off, with doing barbering, and helping the community, it's just no better feeling knowing that you're doing something cool and positive for the community, and at the same time, people are recognizing it. You know what I mean? And then and maybe it's sparking something in them to say, hey, let's go do something. You know what I mean? And I know it does. And I do. Whether people support me or whether they, I feel like they watch. You know what I mean? I feel like when I do something that people know that I'm serious about it, and that I'm gonna put 100. Right? Do. That when I do something, that people know that I am serious about it, and that I am gonna put 110% into it, or I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean?
And to me, like, for someone who, I put myself in the shoes of that, like a neutral zone. You know what I'm saying? And from my view, everything that you do has been genuine, with no ulterior motives, and everything you're doing is really for the sole fact of what you're doing it for, and that's to change your community, or to help your community and change people's lives, dude. And that's a big thing, man. And that's why I was making sure that we could talk about this, all your charity stuff, man, because I thought, on top of everything, like, because I knew you, back in the 33 Deep days, and to watch you like make that 360 turn, dude, and see all that, dude, it's like this is the story of like what we're trying to get across with 12 rounds, like you just taking something, man, and then just turning it around to make it something. Not only are you impacting, your children, but you're impacting other people's children and your community, dude, and that's freaking, that's deserving of that, that hero cape, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And I don't want that. The reason I even came here and did this is just because you've always helped me, bro. And I know who's helped me, and I know who's, and believe me, do I owe anybody anything? Absolutely not. Does people owe anything to me? Absolutely not. Because I'll go out and work, and I'll put it in, and I'll make it work. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there has been people that have helped me, and there has been people that have had my back, and there have been people that have seen the vision. And then there's been people that have just said, you know what, man, this guy's a hard worker. He's a hustler, man. I support this dude. He's a cool cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And being real is hard. Some people support it and some people don't. You know, there's a lot of fake out there. I've dealt with it a lot. The music industry is the most shady industry you can ever be in. I've watched these podcasts. I've checked them out, and I've seen the people that have been on here, and I've seen what they've talked about, and I've seen the things, and so this podcast is really bringing stories from all sorts of areas into one ring. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think it's cool because you're a good person to do this because you've been around so much, from, you know, radio to music to graphic design to putting together events to singing to I mean, I remember when I was starting to come up, going in the cave, down them damn stairs, and
the dungeon,
and being half twisted and barely trying to get out of there. Brown ecstasy days, and like stuff that, like that stuff to me is like. So when these kids these days, and I'm way out of the music scene now, like they go, you go into the whatever, and they mention these names, I don't even know who any of them are.
I don't know who they are.
And that's cool because they're doing their thing. It's a whole different generation now, and that's cool. But to tell them like, hey, what do you know about boom boom, or break out the old CDs and jam them out, bro, is like, it's like a trip in time. You know what I mean? And so for you to do these podcasts is super cool because now you're forming to the new generation, because these podcasts are kind of a new, you know, like the new wave. You know, back in the day, we never did this stuff. No. You know, this was a radio interview with Joey Bravo right here. You know?
Time, dude.
And if he'll let you come down,
Joey Bravo.
Yeah. And but that just goes back to those days, you know. It's like, even with Joe, it's like he's put in that work, you know. He busted his ass, won the contest, did the thing, and took off with it and did his thing. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is the whole game has changed, and honestly, I'm kind of glad that we're doing this stuff now. I feel like I'm not trying to be a 40-year-old out there trying to perform and trying to get out there. Like, bro, I know my time is done. You know what I'm saying?
Same thing with me, bro.
And for you to do these podcasts is so cool because you're like bringing stuff out of the grave. I'm talking about stuff that half these people never even heard of. You know what I mean? Or maybe not know, or they know because they follow me or whatever the deal is. But there couldn't have been a better person to do this, you know, because you have been through so much in the music industry and in life and in personal situations with these people too. You know these people as friends and as acquaintances, and it's not just an interview with some random person that you never met, you know? So that speaks volumes, because at the end of the day, the person that's asking the questions or doing or, you know, creating the content should have that experience. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't have somebody asking all this stuff and not have any clue about who they are talking to. You know what I mean? So I think that's cool. I think these podcasts are awesome. I think you should keep rolling with it. I think it's an awesome idea. I think that everybody on there has brought their own flavor and brought their own stories and brought their own background. So I'm just thankful that I could even come do this. I'm thankful that I'm in the position that I'm in now to be able to do what I need to do. And just shout out to everybody out there that has been following me on my journey of life. You know what I mean? And shout out to everybody that supports it. Shout out to everybody that doesn't. And I'm cool with that because I don't have any of that burden on me no more. You know what I mean? That life is gone for me. I don't, you know, I go home, I relax, I hang out with my dogs, my kids. You know, we're going to Lake Powell on a super yacht, you know, and family houseboat, you know. And those are the kind of things that I could never do if I was in music. Music to me was a period of my life that I'll never forget, but it's something that I never regretted.
Yeah, it shaped you, man.
Yeah, if I never would have done it, I never would be where I'm at today. Has it taught me a lot about life? Yes. Has it shown the good and the bad? Yes. Would I do it again? Probably not. I like to help my daughters write music. I like to help them record. But I'm not dragging her through that life. If she wants to do something, we're going to do it professional. You know what I mean? We're going to go to a studio. We're going to go get professional things done. Yeah. We're not going to do it the way that I did it. We're going to do it on a different way, maybe. Yeah. Just
the bar's already here.
Yeah, just to make sure that she's safe and comfortable and you know, and ready to go.
Because there's a lot of snakes in the industry, man.
It's the worst industry that you could ever try to be in. I think a lot of artists, when they come up, they get bigger than they ever thought they would. They get a catchy song or a catchy melody and they're on, and then they're off.
Yeah.
The longevity of it is very hard. You have artists out there that can last 2 years and make billions of dollars. You got artists out there that have been out there for 15 years and barely making it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, me and you look around, classic rock, vinyl rock, it never dies. It never dies. You know what I mean? Like that old
There's
rock.
Timeless music.
Yeah. And some of those artists are timeless and some of them aren't. Yeah. It's kind of a trip because my daughters and stuff show my music now to all their friends. And I'm like, well, what about years ago? Yeah. You know, I wasn't cool, you know, and it was like, oh, you know, I can't believe you're dropping me off at school in your tour van, you know. Oh my gosh,
this is embarrassing.
Yeah, you know, and now they're like, they play my videos and stuff, and I just laugh.
Like,
and
this is my dad.
Yeah, and it's cool, you know, but I would rather her friends know me as somebody that helps in the community and is a barber and respects the craft and puts out the work that people that wouldn't do, you know, and just take that barbering, that entrepreneurship and really push it to that next level, you know. We do barber classes, we do barber jam kind of things where we get all kinds of barbers together and we have these big classes where everybody can come through and it's free and everybody just kind of soaks up game and networks and chops it up. We've done all kinds of different events there. We do just anything and everything we can do to try to help people out. Going back to where we started, the Cuts for Kels thing, I don't want to forget about this. I grew up with Kels' parents. I went to school with them my whole life. Yeah. She has been battling some demons. She passed away. She's been coming to our barbershop for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Not to mention she's a kid and she's a child of somebody I went to school with. So for them to lose a child like that tore me up, bro. And I thought to myself, what can I do to just help out the situation and do something positive that she would like to do that's not negative. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because the whole situation was negative. It was a negative situation. It was all bad. It was just bad. So I did Cuts for Kels. We had some food. We had some snacks. We bumped some jams. Everybody that came in knew her. We cut their hair, and we donated all the money to her, her family. Now Kels she was really big into helping kids. She was going to go to barber school. She wanted to work at my barbershop. And so to think that kids want to grow up and work there and be like that, there's nothing better than I can ask for. You know what I mean? I'm impacting these kids because they're seeing the work that I'm putting in and they're seeing what I'm doing to help out and they're seeing what I can do, you know, what they want to do that.
Yeah.
So she wanted to donate it to an animal shelter. So I took every dollar that we made. Everybody in the shop, they threw all their money in. We made almost $700 in one day.
That's badass.
And gave it to her and just said, here, take it. Do whatever you want. So now they're going to put up a little plaque in the animal shelter for Kels to help out with the animals.
Yeah.
She loved to help animals and she loved to help kids. That was her thing. And that's why she wanted to be a barber, because she wanted to cut kids' hair and keep them fresh and all that. And I felt it was the only right that was the only right thing we could do. That girl would talk about our barbershop everywhere. She anytime she would say, I'm going to be a barber and I'm going to work at Cadillac Matt's. I'm going to, where do you get your haircut? This is her thing. She'll say, well, where do you get your haircut? And they'd say, oh, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, it doesn't look like you got it at Cadillac Matt's, you know? And,
the straight spokesperson.
Yeah. And she was, and she carried herself with that You know what I mean? With that. And it's just crazy. I can never imagine a parent losing a kid.
Yeah,
it's just something that I wish upon nobody, my worst enemy. I just
never have to bury your child.
Yeah, yeah. And so the money part wasn't a thing. It was just more or less just to do something cool in her honor because that's what she would want. You know what I mean? And to look at her dad in the eyes and say, "Hey, man, this is what we got for you. This is what we're gonna do," was I felt was like honoring her. You know what I mean? And and doing something cool and positive that she was looking down like, oh man, that's badass. You know, I can't believe they're doing that, you know? So that was Cuts for Kells. We're going to continue on doing it too. And we're going to try to do it next year. And we're going to just continue on to try to just bring her back around. You know what I mean? Just kind of keep her around. And the world's just so crazy now. To just get way off topic is these kids, man, they need positivity. They need influences in their life that are gonna keep them away from crazy shit, bro. Yeah. Like COVID jacked people up, bro.
Big time. The whole
drug use, fentanyl is a problem. Yeah. It's a big problem. I've lost like 6 people in the last 2 years to it, and we got to do something about it.
Yeah, people just keep getting...
I don't know what that answer is. I think about it all the time because...
It's one of those things, man, where it's just going to have to become like so, like, you know, everybody's going to have to start talking about it first of all. And then, you know, and then after that, people just have to be proactive, you know, in order to make sure we can get a hold of this and knock it down.
It's just one of those things... You could be the baddest, craziest dude, bro, and it can take your kid out. Like, and you can't beat nobody up over it. You can't kill nobody. You can't do anything because it killed your kid. Yeah. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah. Like I said, helping the community and doing what you can for these kids is so important because I feel like ever since all this craziness happened, lockdown happened, all this stuff has gone on. They shut my barbershop down because of COVID. I was out delivering groceries because of COVID. I was painting my walls in my house because of COVID. I mean, it just screwed a lot of people up. And that's why I just feel like being a positive impact on the community is huge because we have a lot of negative out there.
That's true, man. And you have, dude, freaking, you know, the moves that you've made, dude, freaking have definitely impacted our community. Especially yours directly in where your shop sits, and you're making changes not only for you're impacting people, not only, you know, especially with Kells and in her life, you impacted her, and then you're honoring her, you know, in her passing, and those are things, dude, that like no one can ever take away from you, man. I appreciate all your kind words, dude. I appreciate you taking your time to come here and talk to us.
Yeah,
here at 12 Rounds, dude. Before we go, why don't you give people like kind of an idea where to find your beard oils and your social media handles.
To end on a positive note, I couldn't ask for a cooler, you know, run. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like to be doing what I'm doing now is a blessing. I love it and I won't change. As far as, you know, the shop goes, it's something that I love and I'm going to build it upon. It's going to be around the community for a long time.
And what's the address to it?
It's 3401 West Shinden Boulevard. It's called Cadillac Matt's Barbershop. We do everything. We do fades, tapers, designs, scalp micropigmentation, flat tops, old school, hot towel shaves.
Get down too.
You know, a family vibe, style shop. Music's usually going. Everybody's in there telling bad jokes. Football games are going on the weekends. Just to kind of describe the vibe, you know, it's the kids love coming in there too. We all have kids. It's a family style environment. Most of our kids are in there hanging out. You know, we encourage it. It's just a safe place for people to go. We do a lot of different things on the weekends. You know, we'll bring in foods, or we'll bring in, you know, something for people to drink on or something, you know, just all positive stuff. As far as the beard oils go and the beard balms, I started a beard company called G6 Grooming, and basically it's all essential oils for your scalp and your hair, and it's made out of all essential oils. Beard products to me is something that is like it's a big industry out there, and I feel like I could take my own route on it, and I invented my own product because I wanted to have something that was unique and that something that I could use as my signature scent. You know what I mean? So you'll be seeing that around. I'm getting ready to expand a little bit on that.
G6.
Yeah, and fly like a G6 is where and it's targeted towards like bankers and pilots and people. You know, it's going to be something that you'll see hopefully in like Macy's or you know, higher end, you know, not nothing too crazy, you know, but something, you know, a little, you know, where the businessmen go, you know what I mean? And then, and then I also do my own screen printing, make my own merch for my barbershop, and there's nothing cooler than to be able to put your logo on whatever you want, you know what I mean? So I think that's super cool. And then doing the scalp micropigmentation, and then, you know, ambassador for products, immortal products, really my plate's full, you know, and I'm cool with that. I'm going to continue on with what I'm doing. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I appreciate you having me on here. I appreciate everybody that's been on here. Shout out to everybody that supports your podcast. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, sure.
And other than that, you know, I just wanted to get the story out of how everything kind of came together. So I hope I didn't miss much. And if anybody has any questions, reach out to me. Come by the shop. Yeah. Door's always open. I encourage anybody, bro. Come by the shop. Come say hi. And really, door's always open. That's the shop motto. So, and no politics. That's
no politics or religion.
Yeah. You know. And other than that, I appreciate you and thank you.
Hey, man, thank you again for being here. Cadillac Matt, a.k.a. Oly Ghost. Yo, it is the 12 Round Podcast. Till next time.